Members of the Texas House have adopted the largest budget in state history. This is Friday, April 11th, 2025.
Texas Scorecard presents the day's first news for the Lone Star State, the Texas Minute, with your host, Michael Quinn Sullivan.
We've made it to Friday. Thanks for starting the end of your week with the Texas Minute. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick is using a popular board game to push his favorite approach to property tax relief. More on that coming up. Authorities in Katy have uncovered a vast criminal operation that they believe is tied to a South American cartel following a string of high-value retail thefts across the country. Investigators estimate that this particular faction is responsible for over $100 million in stolen merchandise nationwide. Materials in a Texas text course promote anti-Christian, anti-male attitudes and argue that Marxism isn't drastic enough for feminism. The course fulfills one of Texas Tech's requirements for a minor in women's and gender studies. Among the required readings are Heteropatriarchy and the Three Pillars of White Supremacy, and The Unhappy Marriage of Marxism and Feminism Towards a More Progressive Union. The course syllabus opens with a cartoon image that proclaims, "If I had a hammer, I'd smash patriarchy." The Texas House moved forward on Thursday with its version of the state's biennial budget. It's the largest budget in state history at $337 billion. Now, despite 393 amendments having been pre-filed ahead of the debate, most never saw the light of day. In a move that significantly shortened what is typically a marathon session, lawmakers adopted more than 300 of those amendments in a single sweeping motion at the outset, sending the bulk of them to Article 11. That's the so-called wish list portion of the budget reserved for items that rarely survive to the final document. In one of the more notable early floor actions, members approved an amendment by Democrat State Representative Mary Gonzalez of El Paso to zero out funding for the Texas Lottery Commission, the Commission on the Arts, and the Trusted Programs in the governor's office. But the move was more procedural than substantive. Rather than signaling intent to strip these items from the budget, the maneuver served to block other lawmakers from offering similar amendments later in the process. The expectation is that funding for those programs will be restored during the conference committee process, where a small group of House and Senate members will hammer out the final version of the budget. By zeroing out those programs, House leadership was able to prevent substantive debates on those issues. The Texas Minute will be right back.
Why get your news from people who don't share your values? Get news stories from Texas Scorecard. We provide real news for real Texans. Go to TexasScorecard.com today.
In a video posted on social media yesterday, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick made his case for raising the Homestead exemption on school property taxes by using a familiar childhood prop, the game of Monopoly. Patrick used the visual to draw a direct comparison between property taxes and rent. He argues that even homeowners who've paid off their mortgages are essentially paying rent to their local school districts for the rest of their lives. Patrick touted the Senate's passage of Senate Bill 4 earlier this year, which would raise the homestead exemption from $100,000 to $140,000 for most homeowners and $150,000 for seniors. But he said the real goal, agreed to in conversations with House Speaker Dustin Burrows, is to go up to $200,000. Currently, the Texas House has continued to emphasize compression. That's a mechanism that reduces the school district tax rates by using state funds to lower those rates. While this can lower the overall tax burden for all property owners, including homeowners, businesses, and rental properties, it doesn't target homeowners as directly as a homestead exemption does. Patrick describes compression as a, quote, roll of the dice because it requires constant legislative approval, while the exemption becomes enshrined in the Texas Constitution by voters. You can find a link to that video as well as details on all the stories mentioned today by visiting TexasScorecard.com. If you enjoy the Texas Minute, please give us a rating on your podcast app, and if you have time, leave a review. This is the easiest way to help others find the show. This edition was produced by Nick Shepard and based on the original reporting of Michael Wilson, Will Biagini, and Brandon Waltons. I look forward to seeing you out around the Lone Star State. Have a great weekend.